it will repeat the patterns that have gone before it over and over and over again. It will not be exactly the same, but it will be very similar.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Financial Fox Smart Investing with Steffy and Clem Chambers. Today I have a lot of questions for Clem, so I'm going to put you on the spot. Is there the bottom in crypto? Is the right time to buy back? What we should be doing? I mean, all the hell is happening in the space. And I know you are worried. I know you're trying to understand what you should be doing. But remember that when you're stressed, it's better to don't do anything. And this is a great time for you to learn, research, look at the chart, understand the pattern that crypto is having. And that's what we are going to be talking today. Remember, another things that we don't give any financial advice. It's your money. Crypto is very, very volatile. So don't do anything if you're not sure, if you're not confident, and take time to research, to learn, and to educate yourself, because that will be very valuable for you to be successful in the future. So, Clem, great to have you on the show. Have we touched the bottom in crypto?
I think the way to look at it, look, why it's coming down is the central banks, particularly the Fed, are draining excess money out of the system. And when that happens, it hits asset prices, and it hits asset prices the hardest where they're the spiciest or the most volatile, or however you want to think of that. So yeah, it's hitting crypto massively. It's hit the NASDAQ 30%. So it's hit crypto 70. It's hit the NASDAQ 30 and a bit. It's hit S&P 24, and it's probably hit something really dull by 10%. So that's just the way it happens. So when they pull the money out, asset prices fall, and that's what we're experiencing. Crypto is very, very spicy, and therefore it's coming down a lot. But it was always going to do this. If it's an efficient market, there's no patterns. But in crazy assets where nobody really knows what they're valued at or what they should be worth, it becomes a mechanistic, systemic, machiney thing. And you get these repeating patterns because the market is basically not very efficient.
So here we are.
Yeah. So that's how you trade a crash. Very, very simple. Most crashes, unless they're being intercepted by somebody with very, very deep pockets, go make a W. They go down, you get a dead cat bounce, and then it pulls back to where it was before, maybe even goes a little bit lower, and then it starts to go up. So rather than worry too much about getting the bottom, you just let it establish that bottom, let it kind of crawl around, and then when it starts to drift up or carry on sideways trading after a decent amount of time, you can then acquire. So as long as you believe the asset has validity, that's the way you trade a crash. It's really quite boring. I look at it as a dollar cost averaging opportunity, because it could have a final breakdown to sort of 8,000 for a month or two, and there you were buying at 18,000, and you're going to feel pretty stupid. But when it goes off again, as I believe it will, you won't seem so stupid to buy at 16,000 when it's up at 60 again or 80. But that's to be seen. So I personally believe that now is the time to wait until it's established that bottom. And I believe it will be somewhere between 15 and 10, 13, 12 is sort of my number, but it could easily go 8. It will repeat the patterns that have gone before it over and over and over again. It will not be exactly the same, but it will be very similar. The whole market is driven by Bitcoin. So everything tends to follow Bitcoin. Ethereum has tried to take that crown and failed, and it is very influential. But the 800-pound gorilla is Bitcoin. So when it goes down, everything goes down. When it goes up, everything goes up. That is how it works. Now, Bitcoin has this 4-year cycle where every 4 years, the amount of Bitcoin that's issued halves. So at the moment, every time there's a block, there's 6 and a bit Bitcoin get issued, and that's every 10 minutes. So there's a inflation of the money supply, which is about 3%. But every 4 years, that halves. So that 3% inflation will go down to 1.5%. And then it will go down to 4 years after that to 0.75%. And at some point in the distant future, there'll hardly be any Bitcoin being issued. But of course, it's being lost all the time because people lose their wallets. It gets, just people lose it. And so it's a currency that has a natural underlying deflationary, i.e., on equal usage, it becomes more valuable, a bit like the Swiss franc. So the idea is that when you halve the supply, the demand remains the same, but the supply for new money has halved. So that puts upward price pressure. And so there's a trigger point when suddenly everyone goes, oh, there's halving, oh, there's not enough Bitcoin, and people start piling in, and then it becomes a virtuous or vicious circle, depending on your point of view. And up it goes. So
okay,
that
I'm
is.
going to bring up the chart of Bitcoin so then we can see that.
Yeah. Now, the important part of that is, see 2014. That little bump there looks exactly like the bump in 2018 and looks exactly like the bump in 2022. If you zoomed in on it, you would see it's exactly the same shape. The way you zoom in on it, Steffi, is to pull it over to the middle of the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, pull it out, keep going. More. Yeah, more. There you go. Look at that. Seen that before, haven't you?
Okay, where is 20? Okay. So that's it.
Yeah. Then so 2014 is exactly the same as 2018, which is almost exactly the same as 222. The only difference with 222.
Yeah. Gosh, it's so exponential.
Yeah.
You know, DEX could really go.
Now, the only reason you have this double peak is the Russian affair. So if that Russian, if they hadn't started to move on Ukraine back then, and if everybody in the know didn't know it, then, and if Americans weren't pulling out of Afghanistan to move troops towards Europe, you wouldn't have got that double peak. You would have just had that single peak like you had in the past before. Now, if you go back to that 2014.
Yeah, I was just excited about over 100.
Now, you might want to hit draw again because you probably lost that focus. Yeah, draw.
Yeah.
Now, move it back. Yeah, like you did before. Just move it. Yeah, there you go. So there's 2014. Now, move it back more now. Move it back some. Yeah, keep going. Keep going. There you go. There it is again. Yeah. Right.
So
there's your cycle. There's your 4-year cycle. There's the cycle of Bitcoin coming of age. Okay, and it's the same old. Up like a rocket, down like a rock, back, crawls back, then up like a rocket, down like a rock, and then it goes down, it goes sideways, and it goes up like a rocket, down like a rock. So you've just seen 4 of those.
All right, that's it. So if you have got any question or you have got any feedback, please feel free to add a comment in the video section or send me a DM on Twitter. And if you haven't subscribed yet, click the subscribe button and follow us on social media to stay up to date with our news and interviews. I will see you next time.